Talk to Animals. My name is Shannon Cutts. I'm an animal intuitive and sensitive, otherwise known as an animal communicator and a Reiki master practitioner here at animallovelanguages.com. And that little squeak right on cue came from my nearly 24-year-old grumpy, feathery sidekick and soulbird, Pearl Cutts. He loves Let's Talk to Animals. In fact, it was his idea, right? You ready to roost on my knee? And today you can hear the delightful laughter going on in the background for our special guest today, who are watching him bite me to show me that he wants to go on my knee. We have Kim Shotola and Allison Culver from the Lightfoot Way. This has been a podcast episode a long time in the making. We have all had ups and downs and cancels and reschedules, and I just could not be more delighted that this is finally happening. For those of you who are watching or listening, or you're new here, we are in our third season, and the first couple seasons, if you want to head back over to the archives, animallovelanguages.com/podcast, you can listen to a whole host of wonderful stories, animal communicators and energy workers and light workers from all walks of life who are just passionate about animal wellness. In our third season, we're tackling kind of what I call the what's next, when we have a conversation across species boundaries and the animal participant lets us know that they have an unmet need, something that maybe they're struggling with. Could be emotional, could be physical, could be mental, it could be in their spirit and their soul. They may be in pain. They may be lonely. They may be ready to transition. They may be responding to something going on in their human's life. And the lightfootway.com, Kim's brainchild. Kim Shotola is the founder, Allison Culver is the partner, and we've got such an incredible array of tools and classes and learning programs, and you're really going to want to go ahead and check it out. Kim, I want to pause for breath for a minute, and Allison, I want to welcome both of you so much to Let's Talk to Animals and express my gratitude for your time. To talk about something that's, I'm really excited to talk about a topic that, it's one of those terms that we hear and we think, I totally understand that. Chakra balancing. And then we go to do it and think, okay, I seem to recall the red one's at the bottom and I think the purple one's near the top, and we get kind of lost, right? And so I feel like so many really all of the tools and the classes and the learning opportunities you have both online and in person really speak to different ways to help the whole energetic and physical, mental, emotional, spirit system come into an alignment so we can feel and live our best lives regardless of species, really. But also, as I kind of warned you, prepped you before we pressed record, that just to give everyone a little context, I would love if you would just share a little bit about your personal story.
Okay, great.
So just where did you come from, and how did the Lightfoot Way take shape?
Okay, super. So I got into, I'm going to say, the world of holistic animal care in a broad sense when my horse, who I'd gotten her when she was 5 years old, and she's close to 32 now, but she was having some mobility issues. And so that's what got me into nutrition and joint supplements. And I even made a whole list for my vet of all the joint supplements on the market at that time. And he wanted it, and he wanted copies, and he wanted to be able to hand it out and that kind of thing. It was like a comparison chart of all the different ingredients. But so that worked great for her. And then when I had a dog, he was only 8 and he was dragging his legs when he would get up from a nap. He would just drag them down like the hallway, for instance.
Wow.
And I was using muscle testing at the time, and I muscle tested for him for MSM, which my horse had been on, to see if that one would even work. Sure enough, it would. And both of them, as they got older, have the amount has increased, as can happen with people and animals that get older. But he never once again drug his legs, and he lived until 16. So that just got me, when you start dabbling and it's like, well, we both love Cheetos. I mean, cheese puffs, me and Allison. We have that
Yes.
in common.
We've all got that in common.
We are puffers.
Maybe it's a theme with
Yeah,
communicators.
I know, right? Or it's like the snack of choice.
Yeah. And so I don't even know what order I was learning different things in, from crystal therapy and color therapy and Reiki. I know I definitely had heard about Reiki, and it's a doorway to animal communication. And when I read about it, I'm like, oh my God, what is this? It sounds so weird. But I fell in love with it, you know, and it really, yeah. And then after that, I got into animal communication. And as I started teaching my very first class, because I was just like, and I was working at the Houston Zoo, okay, full time, right? That was my career. I was there for 25 and a half years. It's like, I'm like,
Yeah,
Amazing.
almost
yeah,
30.
yeah, hard to believe. But I was so passionate about holistic animal care and seeing how it could help my own animals. And I'm like, you know, consultations are really nice, but I really am like, I want to empower people to learn this themselves, you know, personally, professionally, that kind of thing. And so started teaching in 2006 and have just, I think animal communication was the first thing, because it is so different than everything else. You know, it's a different part of your mind, your brain that you're using. It's just very different than all the other modalities. And I thought, boy, if people could do that, it could just really help them explode like the cheese puffs. You know, I mean, and that you just want to learn more and more. And it really has. That's what we have found over the years. And then my wonderful, beautiful partner, Allison, came into the picture. Well, she was taking
It
some of my
was,
very first classes.
yeah.
Incredible.
Mhm. So I'm going to
It
turn
was
it over to you, Allison. Mhm.
it was 2006 actually, so
Okay.
may have been one of your early students.
You were.
But I had always had cats, you know, my entire life. And I was always drawn to animals. My grandparents had a farm in Virginia in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and he had Black Angus cattle. And I remember being so close to the bull that everybody was afraid of. He would walk around and you know, follow me. And then we had a baby cow that was abandoned by its mother because it drowned in a creek. And that cow grew up on the farm, and I was able to ride him, and his name was Buster. So I, you know, was always around animals. But when I got married, all of a sudden there was this dog at an adoption event, and I picked him up, and my husband was parking the car, and he came inside, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I don't know." I had no clue.
I'd leave her alone for a minute.
I mean, but there was a higher power, an entity that made me pick this little puppy up. And I never put him down, and we brought him home, and his name's Bob. And that was in 2005. And he is going to be 18 in a couple of months.
Goodness,
So,
Allison,
Mhm.
well,
remarkable.
and that's it's the teachings of Kim. I mean, and we say it all the time. It's our book of evidence, our body of proof. But Bob was going to doggy daycare, and Kim came to teach. And actually, the owner of the daycare called and said, "You've got to come to this workshop. You've got to come." Because I was striving. It's like I'd never been a mama before, much less a puppy mama. And I just wanted to be the best puppy mama ever. And I wanted to do everything the natural way, the right way. And when Kim started talking about all the modalities and the things that you can do, and I mean, muscle testing, that just blew my mind. And I mean, I just kept getting excited and excited, and I wanted to do it all. And so I did. And then Kim finally said, "Okay, enough of you playing around. Let's do this business together."
Honestly, and you had me come do a home consultation too. And that was really
Yes.
cool. But from the first class, the intro class on all the different modalities to the consultation, I knew like right away she was supposed to be my partner. But I waited patiently a whole year till she actually said, "Oh my gosh, I wish I could do more and do this for others." And I'm like, well, guess what?
I have good news for you.
So
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, it's been just such an amazing journey. And when I look at my own animals, I just thank him every day because, like I mentioned, I'd always had cats, but my cats only lived to be 14, maybe 15, 16. And I wanted them to have happier, longer lives. And my cat Saucy, who Kim came to see at that home consultation, is now 23.
Oh my goodness. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
So I have an
It's just
18-year-old, a
remarkable.
20-year-old. And last year in March, I lost my other dog, which was just an amazing dog, but he was 19. So,
Yeah.
I'm just so grateful and thankful for what the Lightfoot Way has done for my own animals.
Well, it's just, I mean, those of you who are listening and you really need to pop over and to YouTube and check out the video and see the glow on Kim and Allison's face and see me smiling until it hurts, because this is what we crave, right? This is what we all want, is to be able to give our animals the lives that we know they're capable of living. And so often we, as animal guardians, as pet carers, as fosters, as rescue workers, in whatever way, and what trainers, in whatever way we're connected with the animals in our lives, we feel that, but we don't know how. We don't know where to start. And it feels like, especially these days, our lives are so busy and overwhelming, and just the information overload alone can make it feel next to impossible to choose. It's like too many choices. Having lots of choices is good, and it's not good, because we don't know where to start. And that's why I wanted to invite a discussion today of one central goal that can benefit all animals, and then take a look at so many of the different ways, the different approaches that you offer through the lightfootway.com that can help to achieve that goal or support that goal. And then maybe we can talk a little bit about muscle testing as a method of identifying quickly and accurately, what should I do? What should I do first? If there's a next, what should I do next? And filter out some of the overwhelm for folks that have an animal that has a need that is known, but what the question mark is, okay, now what? This is really, it's like, this is where the value, like what you said, that the proof, it's like, it's really comes, it's like we just wear one hat when we're wearing our animal communicator hat, and then we either need to put on a different hat, or we need to find somebody else who wears that hat well, who can add to the animal support team. So I don't know how you want to tackle it, but that's what we're talking about today. What do you think?
Yeah.
Maybe we can start with just talking about, just because it is just one of those terms, what exactly are we talking about when we talk about chakra balancing?
So, most people know what chakras are, but in case they don't, there are 7 major energy centers in the body. And each of those energy centers, and they form I would say a diagonal line, and you could certainly look on the internet to see what they look like for both animals and people. But for like humans, we start with the crown chakra and it goes all the way to the root chakra. And animals have them too. And some of the locations are a little different because, they're animals and they have different shapes than we do. But the energy is so important in keeping it centered and balanced and aligned where the energy centers need to be, because they do tie in with organs, and they tie in with physical conditions in the body. They tie in with emotional conditions, behaviors for both people and animals. So it's really important that we are keeping the chakras balanced for both animals and people. And the first place to start would really be, well, how do you even know if a chakra is out of balance? I remember when I learned Reiki, and that's how I first learned about the whole chakra system. And it was just, focused on humans. But it was incredible because we were using pendulums to see, and it was like, whoa, like the pendulum will spin what connects the person energy holding the pendulum to the energy in that chakra. So let's say if we were looking at the heart chakra, which is where the thymus is on a human, and we're trying to get it to the pendulum to spin to see, is it too big a circle or too small a circle, depending on how the energy, is it too much energy going to the chakra, too little? But it would even be like some of them, they were like totally, the chakra was out of alignment, like totally off center. Some of them were torn, for instance, especially the heart chakra or the throat chakra. We could see that for some of those people, students, it would kind of swing back and forth, indicate a torn chakra. There were some where it just didn't move at all, and so those are considered shut down. And the front has to do with emotions, the back has to do with will. And what I had found very interesting was when people were having a very difficult time in their life, and they felt like something was holding back. Maybe they were taking care of a parent that was living with them, or but they were in a job that they couldn't stand. Those chakras would be shut down even in the full entirety on the backside. So that's how I got into the learning about chakras. And we were using say manipulation to fix the chakras. And then Allison's going to get into more stuff on all that. But then, I started doing research and looking into animal chakras, because most of your teachers who teach energy work do not teach about animal chakras. And so I was trying to understand, okay, well, what can we do about the animals and make, seeing, if they're out of balance too. And doing the pendulum work, it can be kind of challenging, especially getting an animal to stand still or reaching up to the top of that horse's head, especially they're really tall. That can be difficult. So using a surrogate, generally like a stuffed animal, you could make it work so easily. And setting your intention so that you could at least check that. Another way to do, though, just checking to see an animal or human chakras are in balance, is also muscle testing and going through each one and asking, is the crown chakra in balance? Is this chakra in balance? Again, using a surrogate instead of having that animal in front of you. And you can use a photo. With muscle testing, it's actually kind of cool because you really don't need the animal in front of you. It's all about the question you ask, and having either the connection to that animal already, or if it was like, for instance, for a friend's animal, or if you were a professional, it's a client's animal, all you need is a photo. Most of our students and clients, I mean, we never meet them. Love doing stuff in person, but most of them we never get to meet.
Yeah.
So the muscle testing can definitely, you can find out which chakra is out of balance, and to what extent is it really out of balance. Generally, you're going to find that people have more out of balance than animals do, because they just in general are more grounded and balanced. And as far people normally tend to be the ones also have the more extensive things going on with the chakras, like the torn ones or the closed down ones. Yes, it can happen with an animal, but in our experience, it's rare. It just really is rare. At least all that, the animals that we have worked with over the years, and the students and their animals. So that's just something to understand the difference between the energy, though, and human lives compared to animal lives and what they're dealing with. They tend to handle things better and not hold on to the stuff that we tend to. Now there is, some people can scan, and maybe this is something that comes to them. Like they may get intuitive information saying, oh, this chakra's out of balance. Or an image might pop up showing that particular chakra, or showing the organ that's correlated to the problem going on. The scanning isn't something, though, that I've seen that most people get. It's just not something that comes to them normally. Even with their intuitive abilities. So, the pendulum's a great way. The muscle testing, though, we're more of a fan of using the human body, our own innate knowledge and wisdom, instead of relying on a device, because as long as people keep their pendulums clear, because they're constantly drawing in energy, that's not always, positive energy, there can be a problem with getting accurate information from a device like a pendulum. And then the scanning is, it doesn't really tend to work. You don't get as much information as you need. And even in intuitive abilities, just trying to talk to an animal, for instance, and seeing what is going on. Tell me what chakras you have out of balance, okay, what's how out of balance is it? I mean, that is a kind of can be challenging to get that kind of information. Even if you were someone who had the ability to hear very clearly. I get a lot of hearing, right? But I don't have these kind of conversations generally with an animal. Okay, let's talk about your chakras today and tell me how they're doing and which one you feel is off. What, so I think it's a whole lot easier to my preference, for instance, is the muscle testing and detecting what is out of balance. For me, it's kind of gotten that, I don't want to say the pendulum again. We've gotten further away from, I don't want to say devices, because there's so much that we can do within. And it's easy sometimes for pendulums to just not give the clear picture.
Well, and it's also difficult sometimes when we don't have those mechanical devices with us.
Sure.
It's so good to know that there's a way to tune in on the spot when it's needed, just using, as you said, the innate wisdom of our own body system.
Right. It's a beautiful
really love
thing.
that.
It applies to so many things in life, including understanding what's going on with the chakras, and it's a good thing to be able to know, because chakras change, depending on what's going on, maybe even the time of year, the season. What is out of balance is something that was out of balance a month ago or several months ago. Is it still out of balance? Has that gotten better? Maybe there's a new area out of balance, and it's just good to be able to have that kind of knowledge.
Absolutely. So that's like pretty much step one. I guess step two. Step one is kind of really understanding, okay, where are the chakras? And as you mentioned, the correlation, what is kind of the spirit meaning, which organs and physical systems correspond, what types of emotions might indicate there's an imbalance. Even being able to learn, as you said, to use our intuitive gifts, to look with our inner eye, to hear with our inner ear, to sense with our feeling body where there might be an imbalance. And so step two would be, adding in the muscle testing, the pendulum, whatever feels right to, and it may change. That's something else kind of wonderful and scary, is we may find we're drawn, just like Allison, you were drawn to that puppy. We may find that one day we feel drawn to a pendulum, and the next day to some type of applied kinesiology. And so step three now, absolutely. So, maybe Allison, you could walk us through a little bit, what are some of the different modalities that we can use when we do detect an imbalance? Crystals have become so popular. I can't even go to the grocery store or go to eBay or Amazon without finding, these so many, crystals that go to Five Below, and you see incense and you see all these crazy things. And it's like, but and it is fun and it's playful and it's creative, and we can learn so much intuitively about, what we're drawn to, even just the colors, the shapes, is it tumbled, is it raw? But also, these are powerful entities. They're living entities in their own right, and how, being respectful and really kind of walking through what will achieve the best result with the least discomfort in the shortest period of time. That's the ideal, right? So, so you guys, at the Lightfoot Way, you've got so many different tools.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Well,
many different tools.
it's interesting that you mentioned the crystals because Kim told everybody how to check the chakras and figure out which ones are out of balance, which is very important. So you can kind of get a handle on what might be going on, whether it's emotional, physical, or what may it be, what it might be. But then you want to balance them. You want to make sure that you balance them. And there's different ways you can approach this. And one of them is that physical, as we go back to Reiki healing or energy work, where you actually manipulate the chakra that's out and kind of bring it back to the right size, or push it over and physically manipulate it on that animal or person, or it could be a stuffed animal if you're doing it distantly,
Let's see. Yeah.
and then balance it that way. But the energies have shifted so much, and Kim and I have found that things are just kind of amping up and speeding up. So you really don't have to go to all that trouble. You can simply set your intention, as you were setting your intention to muscle test, and make the statement, may all of Bob's chakras be in balance, in love and light for the remainder of the day. We speak in the present, where the energy's in the present, and the chakras will be balanced. Then you could go back and muscle test, like Kim was saying, or use the pendulum if you wish, to check to see if they're balanced. And it's going to be cuckoo crazy because they'll be balanced. I mean, it's amazing. It's so much fun.
I love that.
But so, I mean, it's as easy as that. I would love to say that it's difficult and all of that, but our slogan is, the fun and simple way. So why not make it be fun and simple? So it's just that simple. You can simply make the statement. Now, there are things that you can do to support your energy field and to help that balance stay balanced. For people, you can actually start at your feet and zip yourself up all the way from the feet to the top, and go out in the world and about your day, and with the intention that you are protected and zipped up in a sleeping bag or something. You can do that. You could put yourself in, which I like to do because of course I'm a disco queen, I love dancing, but put yourself inside a mirror ball where the mirrors are on the outside of you, so any negativity that comes your way is going to reflect right off and bounce away. So that's another way you can help protect your energy field. And then there's also putting yourself into a green bubble. I actually put myself and my car in a green bubble every time I drive. Yeah, and I like it, because it's grounded, so I'm going to stay on the ground, and the tires will stay on the ground. But so there's all kinds of things.
So important.
Yes, very.
Yeah. In my little town in Montana. Yeah.
Not so much. Yeah. But the crystals, Kim and I actually discovered, we call them the 4-corner crystals. But if you take black tourmaline and citrine and put them together, kind of like salt and pepper, they go together. And we like to use the raw form, and you mentioned that, Shannon, that's key. And you put them in the 4 corners of your space. It could be any space. It could be one room. It could be your entire house. It could be your car. I used to travel a lot, and I would take a little bag with me and put them in my hotel room. But they need to be down on the ground, closest to the earth as much as possible, in the furthest 4 corners of that space, whatever it may be. And the black tourmaline absorbs all the negative energy, and the citrine then balances the positive energy. So it keeps your space, with really good balanced energy.
Lovely. So. I love that. I love that. And Allison, you're the only person I have ever heard mention my number one favorite tool that I've used faithfully for years, ever since my acupuncturist taught it to me many years ago, which is the zip up. I used to, and so many of you maybe who are listening or watching can relate to this as a highly sensitive or an empathic person, or just somebody who cares deeply about the wellness and well-being of the other beings that we share this world with, we can attract some, and you both have mentioned this, we can attract some dicey souls who are looking for stability and comfort. And I used to go to this park near of course, I also live in Houston. So I used to go, those of you who've been here or live here are familiar with Memorial Park, and I would go and I would walk, and I used to attract the craziest creatures until, and I really mean that with love, but also terror in my heart, thinking back on some of them. And once I learned to zip up and just visualize a zipper from, my toes all the way up and around my body and back to close at my toes, it's if I'm in a store and I notice somebody, sidling up to me or just kind of having a wonky energy, I just do it right then and there, and it works so well. So one of the things I love the most, one of the many things I love the most about this work as we're aiming for total wellness for our animal loves, is how many tools we pick up along the way for ourselves.
Right.
I mean, we just find that we just, as we work to elevate the wellness of another, we naturally elevate our own wellness as well. And so it's like it's like a twofer. It's like we invest our time, our energy, maybe our green crispy paper, right, Pearl, into learning something for our animal, and then we get it's like two for the price of one. We get all of these benefits for ourselves because all of these tools cross over. And color therapy is interesting to me too, because it feels like there's an aspect of color therapy in crystals.
I can't believe that. You just read my mind.
That's what happens when communicators get together.
Yes, that is so cool. I was just thinking how, you were talking about the different modalities and where do you begin, and where does the list stop? And it can be so overwhelming. But one of the most useful modalities and the easiest, and it can always be used because there's always a healing color that is going to benefit that animal or person at that very moment. So we always use color therapy when we're working with animals, and that's just a given. It's kind of like a little freebie, but we always like to find their healing color because it can be so beneficial. It's so powerful, and it's such a simple thing.
And it's some color is so, it's something that I feel like as children, like I am drawn, like my mother and I love to go thrifting, and we go to these like big catch-all thrift stores, and I'll come across, always the most adorable outfits are in, toddler size, and I'll hold up something and be like, where is this in my size? Like I would so wear that, it's like, because and I think we kind of get divorced from that by the time we're adult. Like I love that you both showed up wearing pink today. I don't know if that was coordinated or it just happened, but I mean, it's like, not being even our nail cut, if we happen to favor nail polish or whatever, or jewelry, it's like we're kind of taught as we get older that we're supposed to head towards the neutral tones. And it's like, let's not be afraid to at least invite ourselves, ask ourselves, would I like a little more color in my life? And noticing, what is your favorite color? How do you feel when you see that color? Like, how are the different colors have personalities and frequencies. And, I'll never forget the day I learned that my little avian here, his favorite color was green. And I learned that because I held up a spinach leaf and he dove after it. And I had been trying to get him to eat greens, but the only thing he would eat were the forbidden house plants. It's like, so we learned, it's like, and I finally kind of got a clue, right? This is okay. Those of you who are watching, this is the parrot life right here, right now. As real as it gets. Those of you who are listening, yes, he did just drop a bomb on my shoulder. You gotta love that. But you think about, if the animals have, if each color has kind of a personality or a temperament, how and I feel like even though maybe animals see colors a little differently than we do, maybe they don't see in the full spectrum, they also have like these other special superpowers that we don't have, like better low light visibility or the ability to see in ultraviolet. And so it's like the more we become sensitive to colors and sensitive to the different moods that they can evoke, and our natural gravitation towards some different colors at different times of year or different times of day, the more we can realize that this can have this ability, we have this ability to shape our environment. It's like I was able to use my parrot attacking the forbidden houseplants, of which, as you can see, there are many, to well, maybe if I offered him like a green spinach leaf, he would. And I've been trying to get these nutrients into him. And so it's like we'd start to notice, then we're like, I can use that. I can use that information with my dog or my cat or my horse or my parrot or my turtle or whatever, to improve their wellness in a way that feels so natural. They don't even suspect. Yeah. Yeah. So, we're there. It's not you also have, I noticed both of you in your resume and your CVs, you have taken advanced training in essential oils, and that's another aspect of chakra balancing. And I feel like what's so important to recognize is that, you can have a menu of tools that are available. And that's really, that's one of the core reasons I wanted so badly to bring you on the show, is because just the awareness. It's like, you might not know, as a pet parent, you might not know why you just have essential oils or the color orange on your mind that day. Especially when you look at your animal, you might not know why suddenly, for the first time ever, you're just seeing an image of a sunrise. When you look at them and you're, just being able to put two and two together, there is such a thing as color therapy. Yellow corresponds to the solar plexus chakra. They're what is this? Healerite. Here I always keep this little yellow healerite heart right here in my little crystal corner, I guess you'd call that. So there are different crystals that and precious stones that have this yellow coloration, and what there are lemon balms and different essential oils. It's like, how can we could just, and it's hard for the left brain. I'd love for one or both of you to speak to that a little bit, because there's this part of us that's like, because it gets caught. You said right at the beginning, Kim, animal communication uses a different set of tools, a different pathway. I don't remember exactly how you said it, but it was brilliant. And I thought to
Part of the
myself,
brain.
it's a different side of it's kind of unlearning everything. And so it's like, somehow I do find that many, animal people who love animals, we're willing to go there for our animals, even when we're not willing to go there for ourselves. So maybe that helps. But what have you seen that is the most impactful in terms of getting people over that woo factor? And let's just give it a try, because, that's really the only way to know if it's going to work.
Gosh, yeah. To get people over the woo factor.
It's so hard, right? So maybe
it is hard, and it's hard. And I know, for instance, when I've tried to talk to people that I've just met, let's say went to I will call it a banquet, a local banquet or something for an organization going on. And there's a lot of strangers around me. I hardly know anybody. And and they'll ask, what do you do? So I try and make it very in simple terms so people can understand it better, for instance, and just say that, well, I can connect with an animal on a heart and soul level, and I can get sensations, or maybe images, or maybe a word might come to me. And so I try and just tell them in very simple terms about, how animals want to connect with us, and they can give us information if we just connect our heart with their heart. And that information can come to us. They love us so much, and they want to share with us, and they can also share about us or about themselves. But when we have that bond with an animal, especially, because almost everybody you talk with has their own animals, right?
Yeah.
So they can picture this in their mind about their own animal and the possibilities on just a very simple level. We didn't use the word intuitive. We didn't use the word communicate. We didn't use the word psychic. We didn't use any
Yeah.
of these radar. Oh my goodness, it's weird
Look, I see
words.
somebody I think I know on the other side of the room words. Yeah.
And and more people are just starting to with the energies, everything moving into like the fifth dimension and more consciousness expansion going on for humanity. It's been beautiful how more people are, it's not taking as much effort, at least these days, to get people to be open to the idea, whether it's animal communication or it's muscle testing, when they can understand the numbers are growing of people doing it, right? And they're hearing about it in different places, and they are understanding the benefits of it, especially if they've met someone and the person maybe spoke up for the first time, and they might have known each other for years, but they felt comfortable just saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. I've got an animal communicator, or I learned how to do it, or I'm doing some muscle testing or whatever. And then, yeah, you could be friends and not even realize that, your fellow friend is already been on this path. And, but people would sometimes are just kind of afraid to speak about it.
So
But yes.
that is so important. You're so right. That just sharing, just being unafraid. It reminds me of the Marianne Williamson quote about, who are we to play small, and just being,
Yes.
and there's another quote, I can't remember, but it's about being the brave one and being the one that's willing to say the thing, whatever the thing is. It doesn't have to be all of it. You don't have to share about your the 57 crystals that you've collected in each property. You can just in fact, I noticed, here's a great one. I noticed on your website you have this really cool collar that has like a little pouch where you can put crystals for your pet. And so it's like our animals give us such great entree. It's like sometimes, in fact, I just watched, was it Sense and Sensibility again, one of the Jane Austen, and with Kate Winslet and Emma Thompson. And there's this one point where the poor Colonel, who's desperately in love with Kate Winslet, is like, I just need something to do. Like, I'm going to go crazy if I don't have something to do. And so she gives him the task of running off and getting Kate's mom. And I feel like sometimes, even if it's at that functional level, telling somebody who's worried about their animal, here's something you can do. You can get this citrine crystal and this black tourmaline crystal, and you can place it in the four corners of your space and help balance those energies to help your animal not have to fight so hard to heal energy or whatever it may be, or to help your two animals get along a little better, or I don't know, somebody with picky or difficult digestion, to just ease and whatever. Here's something you can put it, you can tuck a little what is that shungite crystal in there in the little collar pouch to just block the EMF frequencies from the 14 devices that are all chatting with one another inside your home. Here's something to do. And sometimes just that takes the human's stress level down a notch or few, and that alone may be worth the price of admission. Because the animal's no longer spending 24/7 with this terrified human that cannot seem to unwind and relax.
Yes, boy, do they feed a lot off of our emotions, for sure. Yes,
they do. Well, I don't want to leave this discussion without talking about, I have not read your new book yet, and I am excited to do so, The Soul Watchers. Kim, tell us a little bit, if you will, about the Soul Watchers.
Sure. So it came out right before COVID.
Amazing. Great timing.
I had been writing it, starting January of the previous year. And as a gift to honor the animals, because they had been, animals gave me the name of the book title. They told me what the contents would be about. And it was just basically to empower people to understand their own innate abilities and to bring those forward and to utilize Mother Earth's gifts that she has for us. So it really was beautiful putting it all together. Now, towards the end of writing things, and I knew there was going to be something coming soon. I didn't know when. There were so many animals that were departing, and like Allison, I would know there'd be a rash of animals that would leave, transition, like a lot of dogs or a lot of cats or horses or whatever.
Interesting.
But this time, I mean, we've noticed a pattern like over the years, but this time it was massive numbers. We were hearing from so many of our students, and this wasn't a lot of old animals or ones that were sick. These were even younger animals that were just passing. And what was interesting was, and it was sad but very fascinating, was I can't tell you how many AC classes, animal communication classes, I taught, where the day or two after the class, the student would email me and tell me their animal had passed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there were so many, and they had told me that the reason they were leaving in such massive numbers was they needed to have more collective souls on the other side to help humanity for what was about to come. They wouldn't give me any more details, but just knowing that that's why the masses were going on. And I thought, okay, throughout the year, I thought, okay, it's been a lot. I think we're done. And then Australia hit with over 1 million animals lost. Yeah. Right. So I'm like, okay, I really hope, we're done now, but they were doing this, they were departing. There was also a lot of really special human souls, I say, that were leaving also at the same time for the same purpose. So when COVID came out, I'm like, oh, okay, this makes so much sense. And that is why it is the Soul Watchers, Animals Quest to Awaken Humanity. So that was the title. They actually, my horses gave it to me, Tara and her daughter Rosa. And the animals gave me, like I said, they guided me on what I needed to write and in that book, and to not make it, it's only like 100 pages. It's packed, but it's only like 100 pages because like people can absorb this, take it in, and it doesn't need to be 200 or 300 pages long. So that was the goal, okay, let's keep it around 100 pages. And to do a meditation that would go with it, and a guidebook to help you throughout, understanding what they're saying, and then asking certain questions of yourself and the animals in your life and that kind of thing to help you on your journey. So yeah, so it came out, but it came out right before COVID, and it's
perfect
available.
Timing. Well, all of a sudden we have lots of time on our hands.
Right. Yeah. So it's it's on, like Amazon and Barnes and Noble, and then
and on your website.
Yeah, on my website. You can get a PDF ebook on the website, and I'm looking at, because I've been guided, I'm like, okay, I feel like I am supposed to actually turn it into the whole Kindle book ebook deal. So that's kind of one of on my planner, so to speak, to have that. And yeah, but I was honored to write it, my first book ever. So
it's an exciting thing. It's an exciting thing. My very first book, my literary agent at the time, she said, before she turned into an agent, she was a writer, and she said she would get people that would contact her saying, I really want to write a book. And she would say, no, you don't. No, you don't. You either you need to write a book, then it will happen. And then, of course, I'd be happy to coach you through it. Or if you want to go to the publishing route, we can talk about that. But you don't she told me, she said, I pretty much almost checked myself into a mental institution when I wrote my first book. And I'll tell you what, there were more than a few gripping moments when it's just, we write a book for the same reason we create anything new in this world, because something wants to come through and be shared. And there's nothing purer than being willing to serve as a voice for the animals. So I'm really looking forward to that. I honestly didn't know you had a book until I went to your website, because I've just been relying on your wonderful weekly emails. And I just get information that way. I think sometimes we get out of the habit of going to the website to see what's new. We just read the emails, and And it's just, there's just so much. So I want to close out our podcast today. I feel like I could talk to you for hours, but you know, I do try to keep it just so our listeners kind of know what to expect when they press play and don't want to leave them hanging. But I'd love, you know, not only to give folks who are interested to study with you or work with you in some way a place to start, because just all your offerings alone can be a little daunting. But I'd also love for you to share, both of you to share your favorite thing, like the course that you're either most passionate about, or the thing that you love to teach the most, or just the one that you felt has been the most meaningful to you. But just give us first, like, just a place to start. If somebody's new, they want to come in, they want to get started learning this, and it feels like, oh my God, I am so behind. I just learned what a chakra was. And now all of a sudden, I mean, seriously, right? We all have to start
Yeah.
somewhere, and just
Right.
having that curiosity and wonder and not allowing it to get shut down by overwhelm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's we do offer a lot.
You do.
It
Yeah.
and it can, I will say, it can be a little confusing for people. It really depends on what they're looking for, but I'd say
What if they
first,
don't know?
right, they might not know. Best thing is to get on the email list, because they get that educational article and they get access to the archives. And then we put on there classes that are coming up or events, that kind of thing. So it's a place to start. It's the easiest place to start, because we have people who've been readers with us for years. And some of them, for instance, just signed up, you know, the other day for like a muscle testing class. So it's okay. People can learn that way. There's a lot of information just in the articles. But my absolute favorite thing to teach is animal communication. And then this year I was guided to create the Spirit World Ambassador program.
I just saw that. I was really curious
Yeah.
about that.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so the animals gave
Mhm.
gave me the name, and as they were like, it's time to do this. So this, someone has to already be know how to communicate with animals, or have taken intuitive abilities kinds of classes. But it is a whole program focused on speaking with animal and humans in spirit. So yeah, but anyway,
Very
I've been very passionate about that. But in general, I mean, it's doing the teaching animal communication, and also doing the my specialty, I guess, for consultations out of everything we offer is, for me, the in spirit animals and people. I'm most known for that, and as far as consultation. So that's kind of a near and dear to my heart, because so many people, it's very difficult when they lose a loved one, whether it's an animal or a person, you know. And a lot of them don't realize they can connect to the other side, that there's signs that the animals, for instance, are trying to give them, and there's messages, and there's ways to holistically help the people who are left and the animals that are left with the grieving process, that, you know, on holistic levels. So it's just so many amazing things that can be done in that scope of things. So that's something I'm really passionate about for myself. And then Allison.
incredible.
I mean, you know, yes, the animal communication, it's, there's nothing like the moment when you're teaching and you see that the student realizes they're really doing it. There's nothing like it in the world. I mean, it's just, it just, you know, takes over and just overwhelms you with joy that they are doing it, and they know they're doing it, and they've just changed their whole life. So, you know, definitely animal communication is just amazing to teach. But, you know, I kind of go at muscle testing is my go-to, because it's the foundation of almost everything that Kim and I do, as far as, you know, it's energetic in itself, but yet it's physical and tangible. And you can kind of grab a person by showing them how it works, and that it works, because they're like, what? You know, my arm wasn't going to fall down, but it did, you know. And then, so that's something that also excites me, because they know that, oh, wow, there's something to this. It's kind of freaky, but there's something to it. So, you know, muscle testing is the foundation of almost everything that we teach. So that's, I guess, my second favorite. And then
Very
I have to
neat.
talk about one more thing that I really, really
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed, and Kim and I were guided to create and do. And it was amazing along that whole journey to realize what all these entities are there for us and help humanity and help Mother Nature. And we taught a fantastical series on all these fantastical elements like fairies, dinosaurs, unicorns, dragons, angels, and so that was fascinating.
How amazing.
Mhm.
How amazing. And I, it's like, and I want to point out one more thing because we were talking about how to kind of get people over the woo factor, and muscle testing is brilliant for that because you really do. I mean, I was first exposed to muscle testing when I was, I don't know, 20 something. I mean, I'm 51. I forget. I think 51 and almost 3/4 now. So 52 in December. But I mean, so it's been a while, and I didn't have any freaking clue why my arm wouldn't suddenly do what
Yeah.
they would say, oh, try to resist. Well, I'm a type AAA. I was going to resist, it didn't happen. And I was like, I mean, it was like on the one hand, I'd be like, body, what a traitor. And then on the other hand, I was like, wait a minute, body, are you wise? Like, do you have something,
Yeah.
there's something,
Yeah.
you have a secret life you haven't been telling me about, and it's like, so it's a really good entree. And it's like, if that works, and there's something that we have to, because it's just that little doorway, like, oh, maybe I have
Mhm.
something to learn. Maybe I can stop
Mhm.
having all the answers for the moment and knowing and start experiencing and learning. And then it feels like a shorter hop to something like animal communication or mediumship or playing in the world of, as you call them, fantastical beings, because they are fantastic. They are fantastic, I mean, and we have little real life dinosaurs. We have real life dinosaurs. Okay, that was a geeky moment. But we also have, it's like it's a shorter hop. So we start somewhere. And I would just encourage you to consider, as you're listening or you're watching and you're thinking, where would I like to start? What sounds the most interesting to me? What do I give yourself 24 hours after you listen to this podcast? What are you still thinking about? What are you still pondering? Or have you been noticing a theme? Do you seem to keep getting the same information coming into your inbox, or people just casually mention, or you turn on the radio and somebody's talking about it? And it's like, these are the ways that our beautiful light teams can talk to us. And so I want to thank you both so much, Kim and Allison, for making the time today, for donating your time. We've had an incredible discussion. The lightfootway.com is where you'll want to go to. I agree. Start with the email list, get Kim's book, take some time to just give yourself. Okay.
Oh,
Somebody forgot to mention
I
something. I can
totally
tell.
forgot this because this ties in actually with today's topic. How silly of me to forget. So when people sign up for the email list, not only do they get access to the archives, they get an audio meditation I created that goes through all the chakras to help expand your intuitive
Oh, well,
ability.
shoot. If that isn't just
I
perfect.
totally
Thank
forgot that.
goodness. There you go. So you get an intro to all the chakras. So let's start there. Maybe notice even what chakra is the most interesting to you, or the one that just calls to you. And, and just take it one step at a time. Just, when we can become playful, we can wonder, we can get curious, we can notice just what's coming up and realize there is an inner wisdom that will guide us, that will lead us through the left brain quagmire, the swamp of too many choices, if we're just willing to allow our right brain to at least sneak in the door to the party. And I want to thank you both so much for being here today. I want to thank my co-host here, my feathery co-host. Yeah. And thank you, the listener and the viewer. If you are just joining us for the first time, please do head over to animallovelanguages.com/podcast, or you can also find all of the episodes on YouTube. The handle is Shannon Cuts, that's my name. Or you can, I've got a listing on the website of all the I hope most of the major players in podcasting. If you don't see your favorite service, email me and let me know, and I'll do my best to play nice with the technology and get the podcast listed. We've got 3 seasons now. We're into season 3 of incredible guests, just like today's podcast, and really hope that you're enjoying it. If you have questions, you can reach out to Kim and Allison at the Lightfoot Way. You can reach out to me at animallovelanguages.com. If you just want to see Pearl, I suggest Love and Feathers and Shells. That's a good loveandfeathersandShells.com is your showpiece, isn't it? Yeah. This bird brought me to all this work. So, if what he wants, he gets. And so join us every week. New episodes drop on Wednesdays, and I sure look forward to having you with us. We know you have many choices when it comes to podcasting, and so appreciating that you're giving intuitive communication for animals and total animal wellness a seat at your listening table. So sending you all of our love, and bye for now, and hopefully see you next week.